Lights, camera, action. We are back. It feels like the year 2600, at least when I look in my screen, from inner space to cyberspace. Back at headquarters at the editor's desk on the pirate ship of the mind. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Artist Journal, November 13th, 2023. Back at headquarters. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. I am coffeeed up, everyone. Welcome back. I don't have time to do a take two here. And that's okay. Maybe take one is great. So there's you won't believe. Actually, you probably will at this point if you've seen this show before. I don't believe it, though. The amount of work that I am having to go through that it's almost like the editorial mandate needs to be refined to a certain degree, because it just started out with more or less a very loose, what is, quote unquote significant work. And that's not to say that I do a lot of chopping here of significant work. So it's not to say that work that isn't here I don't consider significant. But there is sort of a loose mandate in the pirate ship of my mind of what needs to be, what is necessary. And that's also very subjective and depends on the mood and everything. So again, if it's not here, and I miss a lot as well, but all to say that mandate may need to be refined, because it's just, there's too much amazing work coming out, as you're going to see once again in this broadcast. Masterpiece Theater. I was thinking to myself, this is Masterpiece Theater. I'm not sure. I think that was like an Agatha Christie thing on like a cable channel many decades ago. But that's what it feels like to me, is Masterpiece Theater. And we begin with tempted to call it a masterpiece here by Uxine. It feels kind of iconic. It feels kind of beautiful. And look at that brilliant, Uxine's been kind of, I would say, for lack of a better term, making light of the whole verification aspect. As the drills go off outside maybe we have an attacking ship here coming out on the pirate ship of the mind. Maybe you can't hear that. We have attackers coming. Let's continue here, though. Hopefully you can't hear that. So Uxine has been making light of the verification here. We're going to continue. He's been making fun of the verification here. There's no choice. We must go forward. As the editor here, we must go forward. I hope this broadcast works. So, as you can see here, verification. And the attackers have gone away. We have staved them off. They are coming back. We may have to do a completely different broadcast here because we have been attacked. But let's continue here. Making light of the verification here. And here you see the little homunculi and everything. I brought it up big. It's a 30 megabyte file. So on Super Rare, if you bring it up, it might look a little fuzzy. We are back to Masterpiece Theater here. And look at this. So Uxine looking like using different brushes here, doesn't it? So mixing and matching brushes, which is pretty cool. And look at that. You see the digitalization? Looks like Uxine has gone into vertical pixel land here. Let's see if we can see. I mean, now that kind of looks like vertical pixel land, interestingly. And look at this beautifully, carefully done highlights here. As we move forward under attack, and here, just a dash of ASCII. Just a dash of ASCII. Nice touch. It really pays to zoom in here. And a great work of art stands up to scrutiny, doesn't it? We were seeing that with Strange Thing, because sometimes works of art don't stand up to scrutiny when you kind of zoom in. What's a great work of art will actually seem better when you zoom in, oftentimes, to generalize. And look at this odd, remember we were talking about Bacon kind of reasserts itself. Francis Bacon, these kind of like odd spaces. I mean, we see it with Rat Cloak, and we see it, look at these great pixels here, and we see it here with Uxine. We've seen it with a few other artists as well. And look at this great highlight here. So we can't spend too much time. This is my favorite. I think because of there's the ambiguity in the work, because it's kind of stamping like, in a sense, it's not overtly negative. It's not didactic. It doesn't hit you over the head. You shouldn't like verification. It's more kind of celebrating, or it's more just calling attention to, and there is an element of satire or dark humor here in the head that is replaced with the verification sign here. And as we continue here, and again, I hope you can't hear what sounds like a chainsaw outside. And here it is. It sold for 0.826. I mean, this person, Uxine released 5 of these at once. Under Get Verified was the series here. What a steal, really, for an Uxine. Sometimes Uxine goes 4-6 ETH, maybe. So what a steal here from Jacob the Ape, jumping on. Sometimes when crypto goes up, NFTs kind of take a pause. But then when it kind of stops going up, because everybody's excited at how much money they're making from the crypto. But then when it stops going up, then oftentimes it goes into the NFTs, because oftentimes it's another kind of avenue of speculation. So interesting. So here are the others in the series here. And we're going to have to run here. And the Reaper. So here is more here and another one. And here you see, now these are lo-fi. I could bring up the large ones. Maybe I should just, I don't know if we have time to bring up the large ones. We do. Okay, so it is loaded up. And look at this. Look at the beautiful, beautiful surveillance camera. You could do the whole show on these 5 works. We're not going to. It's kind of how the show started, was almost picking an artist and looking at some of those works. And so it almost brings us back there, but there's simply too much to go through here. But look at how beautiful, and look at this. This interesting stage kind of harkens back to some of Uxine's earlier work, where it's kind of like these metaphysical stages, is what I'd call them. Dimension of recognition. Let's see if we can bring this up big. So again, to bring them up big, you click on IPFS, International Protocol File Server, where we've had the big debate here over the last week. And look at this. Interesting outline there on the whatever you call these things, the halo, and interesting overlap here too, and everything. So just cool. Again, the computer head, the Mac head, so to speak, and again, look at that. Again, close inspection rewards the viewer. And you see, again, the word I always use with Uxine is dexterity. Here, using almost like a different kind of processing, just in this little area here and nowhere else, and kind of nicely chosen area for this kind of processing, which seems different. And again, using the classic Uxine kind of colors here. So beautiful there. Let's keep going. And another one, let's quickly IPFS that guy. And here you see an interesting piece, interesting kind of pixels over top. Again, kind of hearkening back to some of those earlier kind of what I'd consider metaphysical works by Uxine. Nice kind of dripping, or maybe not dripping pixels, but rough pixels here. Nice, nice, nice. Again, painterly pixels, and we see more. And look at this kind of, again, these kind of, go to Uxine's early work on Object, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, these earlier works, an interesting construction cone. And here's one more. As we continue to sail forward here, staving off a major attack here. And here is this was a great one also. And look at this. Some of the originality, let's just back up here. The spider, almost like creating the threads here. This is pretty original. Like, I never would think of doing something like a spider like this, the spider replacing the head. Pretty original. And again, there's so much in here. Like, there's so much commentary right? And there it's the X rather than the check mark and the broken iPad, and even referencing the tools, one would argue. I mean, look up close. What does that look like to you? Looks like Procreate to me, uh, right? And so it's a whole armada after us here. So, all to say, an interesting framing device here. And again, like endlessly creative, right? Because the temptation on this arc that is framing this device with this brilliant matte black, everything has been thought here, which is a good sign. And even down to these little, shiny pixels in here. And let me just add one more aspect. So, of course, you see this, you think, okay, kind of Roman arch, let's say, or classic arch. Look at this, rounded corner at the bottom, almost making it like modern in that sense, because, of course, in a kind of Roman architectural setting, for lack of better words, you wouldn't get the rounded corner at the bottom, but making it inherently modern, I would argue. And more fire here. And here, this is super interesting too. You almost see a window into Uxine's process here as the large brush strokes and spray, or just large brush strokes here, are almost like the underpainting, the rough underpainting, and then, starts to tighten things up with this beautiful kind of outline here, and then probably puts the matte black on top of this, right? But then leaves this behind and this beautiful kind of combination at the back here, and then tightens up the subject, leaves the background rough, and there you have it. This mix of this contrast between basically tightened up, what would we call it? For lack of a better term, representational art, figurative art versus abstract at the back. Again, making it painterly, showing the process, you might say, along the way. This is a classic sort of Picasso maneuver, many artists. It's a modern maneuver. And look at this great flag here, too. The staff, again, kind of feeling very Italian painting, from 500 years ago. And I follow all these people. Uxine, that was intense. Jacob the Ape, thank you, everybody. And Gmal, thank you for collecting. Grateful to everyone who bid. Very happy with how it went. And just like throwing off another cool gift that would be easily sellable and with without thinking twice. So very, again, martial artists there with Uxine. And just, maybe it's vanity, I thought to myself, to show this, but it kind of looks like me. And it's kind of even like the same kind of square. So anyways, just wanted to give a big shout out to B, who watches this show. Thank you for the drawing there. Thank you for posting, if in fact it is me. I will assume no more. And huge show I'm excited to present to you on Wednesday with Rune Tune. We're going to have Lorna Mills. And that should just be a ton of fun. And that is going to be this Wednesday. So I'm kind of think I'm going to try and announce these on the Monday, just to be on top of things here. So Lorna Mills is coming this Wednesday, and I'll put out another reminder, but that is in my Twitter feed. For those that are interested, that should be amazing. And let's bring up the comments on this beautiful painting here. Let's bring up the comments on last show. Score, I know I'm extremely late. Happy birthday to your mom. And Mom messaged me last night and asked me to wish a big collective thank you. I actually have the message coming up here to everybody who wished her a happy birthday. Thank you so much for reviewing Henshin and also my abstract work. We have another one from Psycho today. And this was created with Houdini last year, and the particles were based on the photo collage. I will share the image on X. Happy to see many works of my talented friends. DJ Kiro, thank you for the kind words and showing my art again. Hope you had a great vacation and safe travels back to Berlin. It was amazing. Travel is mind expanding. And yeah, Sicily was super duper interesting. I'd say if you've never been and you have to kind of pick and choose, Taormina has to be seen for its beauty. It's kind of like an all-encompassing sort of world on a cliff, and it's huge. That's what's so interesting about these ancient cities. Like Taormina's pretty old, and Syracuse is like, they're both the biggest kind of old cities I've ever seen, apart from Rome. Rome was, of course, the biggest, but you start to approach not Rome size, but you start to approach, like with Syracuse, you start to see like, oh, and then the Greek theater. I never even went to the Greek theater. Like, I'm going back to these places. That's what I'd recommend. Palermo's nice, but a little rougher. There's some interesting historical stuff, but I found the west of the island to be a little rougher. The east, at least Taormina and Syracuse, those are the places I would go to if you've never been. The Travel Channel in the works. Rosetio, loving the Gogolitis times Dither collab. Great show as always. Thank you, Rosetio. Skomra, great show. I didn't believe strongly enough in ordinals to mint there when they showed up. How many people would agree with that? I believed in it. I just frankly didn't have time, is how I would characterize. Like, see, even now, I'm convinced now, but the cost to mint there is an obstacle. Well, 50 is a lot, but it's not insane. But yeah, it's not like the 10 it might have been. And again, if you make a low size file, maybe that's a solution. Also, see that as a challenge, you know. Also, I'm seeing more mints on Solana, which I thought would decline post FTX, but it seems to have some resiliency. You know, they were selling after September to liquidate FTX. And it's funny, I was just seeing someone was saying how all the bankruptcy, like the creditors for FTX will be made whole. It's almost like if SBF could have survived to now, probably would have been fine, which is quite the fateful, you know, it's like a Greek tragedy there, and I'm sure entirely deserved, you know, and I guess it's good how things turned out, you know, but wow. I mean, justice was served, but man, that has Greek tragedy written all over it. It seems like we're becoming multi-chain faster than I expected. That is really interesting. And I'm always still like, watch out for Polkadot. That's sort of my comment on that. Thank you for the comment. Rada, catching up on Mist Journals on Sunday morning. Thank you, Rada. Always appreciate your support. Phoebe, Zendaya is the actress playing Kani in Dune. Okay, so there's a reference to Zendaya, and thank you, Phoebe, for the comment there. And check out Phoebe's does digital fashion, kind of futuristic James Bond style. Santiago is a Codal. First comment. All right, thank you everybody for the comments, and we also got one from Strange Thing, which I wanted to highlight here. And thank you everybody for the comments here. We got to run through this show. Some stuff on Transparent Works. We're going to come back to that, actually. Strange Thing. We're going to come back to that comment. I'm deeply grateful for your continued support. So, of course, Strange Thing, if you didn't see it, did this work right here. In my latest work, I am delving into a new model that resonates with the artistic direction I have long envisioned, where texture and the essence of age play pivotal roles, of which I'm glad was the first part you wanted to admire. The essence of age play pivotal roles, where texture, yeah, the texture is incredibly interesting in this whole AI situation. You'll notice that many derivatives of my concept tend to lack depth, often appearing flat and soulless, primarily due to the prevalent use of airbrush technique that V4 and models create, which does not reflect the time period the concept hopes to achieve. I think Strange Thing is referencing a lot of the experimentation that's on Instagram and sometimes on Twitter. You know, I don't find it soulless, but I think I understand what you're saying. It's not as soulful as these beautiful paintings. Fair enough. This was a significant factor in my hesitation to transition to Midjourney version 3. However, I knew with the advancements of AI, I would not have to wait long. I've now discovered a model that captures the intricate details essential for transporting the... I've now discovered a model that captures the intricate details essential for transporting the viewer through time with extensive prompt building, provoking questions about history and its perception. The artwork I'm currently crafting, still in its development stages, planning to upscale via stable diffusion to enrich the textures. You know who else mentioned this? ClownVamp. So if you're looking to get these enriched textures, check out Stable Diffusion. Looks like in the upscaling process. This artwork I'm currently crafting, still in its development stages, showcases a good writer, probably uses AI a little bit, but maybe not, showcases a raw output beautifully enhanced by AI upscaling. I am excited to announce that plans to mint this unique piece are in progress on completion. So, isn't that interesting? So this is not minted. I wasn't sure if this is like a 8-month-old work that was just being thrown out there. No, this is being worked on. So look at this. Strange Thing. Just amazing. Mom, can you give a big collective thank you to everyone that sent me birthday wishes? So there you are. So thank you, everybody. for sending the birthday wishes to Mom. Mom is very thankful. I'm sure it helped make her day there. Lord Neutron. So cool artist here. This, I believe, is Lord Neutron, but this is what I wanted to highlight. And we've had Neutron on this show many times. Excited to reveal my collaboration with the fantastic Quadrillion art project. We've successfully integrated 20 renowned Ethereum artists into the realm of Bitcoin ordinals, showcasing a unique blend of talent and innovation in the digital art space. Thank you for believing in my vision. So this is interesting because if you have the cash, I mean, now it's going to get pretty expensive. Like in July, when things were a lot quieter, to mint a like 400 kilobyte work was something in the order of like $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000. If at least that's what I was quoted. So I don't know what it is now. I'm kind of hoping for maybe it's lost hope. I'm still hoping that things. I'm not believing this rally, and I could be totally wrong on that because all of Twitter seems to think this rally is for real. I'm still thinking this thing's going to go down. I love Bitcoin and all this stuff. Obviously, I love this whole scene. I'm still hoping there's going to be another chance to get on board this thing. If not, so be it. Otherwise, I'll do really low kilobyte art, at least in theory. Leonidas, the world's most secure art gallery, is the Bitcoin blockchain, and hard to disagree with. Continuing on, how are we doing here? Let's keep running through this. Look at this brilliant work, brilliant Spiegel's Mesquine in the show here. Brilliant display here. I mean, pretty exciting stuff. So this is from that show that we were seeing, I think, called The Desktop. So just really smart display here from Spiegel's. I've never even really seen these. They look like Light-Bright screens, but maybe they're manual screens you make by yourself. I don't know where they come from, but I think pretty brilliant. The Aristocrat, another work here. And look at that. So just really cool work from Spiegel's. And here's one more, Desktop. I thought this was pretty interesting. And here you can hear the music. And like an art opening or something. I thought this crop was really interesting. It looks like Spiegel's is going right to the edge, but it looks like it maybe goes beyond the edge. So I just thought that was a really interesting crop, worth noting. Andre Oliveira Cebola. So, of course, we saw the glasses yesterday. I wasn't sure if you could see through them. Even though you can put the glasses on, I don't see it as glasses anymore. It was an irreverent way of showing off the work on these mini screens that have code running on the microcontroller. I usually display it with his head in the video. So again, looking pretty rad, these glasses here. So that was in response to our discussion there. Maybe 2.0 we get sight, I was saying. So just really cool tech there from Andre. Rinnyfish, new frame. So this looks pretty cool, hey? Interesting orange. Interesting orange. I mean, that is super interesting. And you know what this almost looks like? Well, I guess that's what it is. I was going to say this almost looks like a print on colored paper. How is this printed? Maybe this was printed on white paper, because to print on red or pink paper would be tricky, but this is good. And this very smart orange, like the color, I mean, what a decision. I don't consider myself at all an expert on framing. I always want advice, but this is inspiring from a framing perspective. And you know what else? This is a heck of a nice print. Like, I assume this is physical. Let's just see if we have any details. New frame. That's a very good looking print from Rinnyfish. Machine. Let's just open up the comment here, and experimenting with small format on paper. So kind of looking like, almost looks like cutout, but maybe not. Maybe this is just, remember that sticky, what I was calling the sticky hand that helps crop? Little things like that make an enormous difference. I assume that's what's going on here. And kind of a cool depth of field kind of shot here with the person in the background, and just kind of wild, kind of interesting, the dog smoking here and the person smoking in the background. Just very cool from Machine. Yeah, Salazar, some of us are already dead. So just another kind of 3D plasticine work here from Yoao. Again, just showing the range and dexterity of this scene. Again, I just think to myself these like famous like surrealist shows and modern art shows that occurred at these major, that were seen as some as major landmarks. That's what I see in like you could do it with this episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's how much art is being put out that is, of note, shall we say. Cider came to a point that I can sometimes make a really good piece in just a matter of a few hours. I just need a good idea and thoughts on the process prior to its creation. I can also maybe work in progress out a piece every 1 to 2 days if my routine allows me to have a few hours in front of my computer. However, I feel like getting many works done could give the vibe that my work isn't thoughtful or lazy. Does this make sense, or am I being stupid? I think this is a really interesting question that I think a lot of artists ask themselves once they fall into a process that works. And it's kind of interesting. Like, I think it depends on your marketplace or your market, in the sense that, like, I think Warhol could make like 100 works a day. And I think if you can make, the more the merrier. Again, with prolificness comes credibility, in my view. So artistic credibility. So there's probably going to be a point where maybe you're too busy at certain points to release work. So I would just accumulate it. If you put out a work every 2 days, I don't know if that's so bad. Or every 3 days, you can also take a week off, give the collectors a break. So I would say make the work, and then don't hold on to it for too long, like I often do. Like just kind of, you're going to find times when you're maybe on vacation, and then all of a sudden, okay, you just keep releasing, here's it. And, so I would say make the work, worry about the market later. But what's cool, like, I mean, Cider, if you're making beautiful art is beautiful art. And, these Warhols that sell for $2 million were, made in a few minutes. If you tabulate all the time it took, it was a factory. So, be a factory. Go for it. If you can be a factory, be a factory. Rada, so here is how you claim the one of ones. And this is based, so collect on the One Life ticket available on Tezos. So this was available. DM me and burn the ticket. Within the next 2 or 3 days, I'll be sending you an envelope containing a variety of items, including a 14 centimeter by 21 centimeter original watercolor. So super cool here. And here are some of them. So everybody gets like an artwork. There's Cosimo de' Medici. Got mine. I'm thrilled, my friend. So even Cosimo is collecting. There's still like a ticket left or two. And here are more examples. So just really cool from Rada, who I do follow, obviously. One Life ticket, Rada. So here it is. There's like 2 left, I think, when I loaded this page. They may be gone already, but if you buy one of these for $140 now, Tezos is going up. You can burn it, but talk to Rada. Message Rada. And I'm not sure if we ever saw this. I didn't realize this was released. It was while I was away here. So this work, The Tetrarchy, interesting title, was released on Tezos here. So this work was finally released, this epic work that we're watching in progress from the renowned pixel artist Rada. This is interesting. I wasn't sure if we could read into this. Cosimo de' Medici, if you're reading this, it's time to admit you are underexposed to fine GIFs and PNGs. I thought that was interesting. Not necessarily JPEGs, but PNGs. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Chrome Void, also on the PNG front. This is the comment we saw earlier. Read the RJ and transparent background works reminded me of Al Fernandez's experiments with using semi-supported gamma rendering in PNGs. So work appeared one way or another on Manifold and another way in OpenSea. So people have been experimenting with this PNG idea and almost introducing this element of randomness into the process here. So this is pretty interesting. RJ and, of course, Graphica also doing the same thing. So just kind of interesting. Finally here, is anything still true on the internet? No one knows anymore. So as we were discussing last episode, how the external world is becoming fictional, and increasing, there's more and more fiction. And it's taking, as Ballard says, we live in an enormous novel. So Wall Street Journal just this weekend decided to comment on it too. So isn't that interesting? Kind of a topical thing. So let's look here. So this is Kristen Roos, and let me make sure this. This is half an ETH. This was minted. Oh, this was minted 4 months ago. I just saw this, so I guess Kristen Roos reposted this. So a cool work here by Kristen Roos, nevertheless. I bet we looked at this. We looked at this series, but let's just see if Kristen Roos, or wait, was this? We are facing all the challenges today. And now these we haven't seen. Look at that. Vortex 1. So I don't know if we've seen these. Let's quickly just look here, even though we have 0 time to do this. Actually, we have half an hour here. We're not doing terribly. But if this doesn't load up, we're going to have to save. I might save that for another episode. Anyway, cool work by Kristen Roos from a few months ago. This is new. November 12th, Admirola makes another sale at 0.15 ETH, which is like $300 now for 0.15 ETH. Not bad at all. This is a beautiful work too. So look at that. So just an awesome pixel artwork here by, love the color. This red with the purple. Just beautiful. Kind of, again, you see the, Ed's, a lot of Ed's work is dreams, monsters, monstrous. Pixel 2023, just really cool. So Ed's back after the renovation there. Really cool improvisation. Here's another one, Rip Again, and a nice like small pixel artwork by Ed Marola on Object. And this one is selling for 2 Tezos each, edition of 40. Let's see how many are left. 35 left. And look at this. This, of course, is Popple. And let's see how many views this has. 33,000 so far. Just minted last night, 12 hours in. Not bad at all. 33,000. And this is an interesting development here. The monster, the pixelated monster, the Sanitarium series now has this interesting window in like operating system window in the background. So interesting development there from Gogolitis. And Figments, also known as Cap'n 1. And this was just listed a 1 of 1 and gone within half an hour to not a number for 111 Tezos. Again, these are nice sales here. Look at that. Pretty rad work here from Figments. Nice 1 of 1. And here is a edition of 10, Buthermord 005, now 35 Tezos. Let's just see on secondary, one there. Selling out at only 10 Tezos. So pretty cool work here, again, by Figments, also known as Cap'n. Really cool series here. Nice animations. And this was also Cap'n I follow as well. That is a Twitter glitch or X glitch. New game, continue, options, continue. Very poetic. Very, very poetic as usual. And look at this great like work here. So you have kind of TV noise in the background and then just taking a layer, putting it on top. And it's kind of that simple, okay? Like it's really simple and just making it look super easy. Speaking of which, so Michael Micasso continues to, I guess we can't make that too big here, continues to put out, to combine what I'd call the MS-DOS styled work with the pixel art. And I love this kind of, it's almost like a deluxe paint, like cycling gradient going through, but it's just a cycling gradient here. Over the top in the sky. The color, it's kind of like Apple IIe, old school, computer monitors, which is also cool. Again, especially reminiscent of that MS-DOS style at the bottom here. And so just a super interesting work here because, of course, this is Helen of Troy. Nice rendition. Like, to me, this fits in very nicely with all this tradition of rendering Helen of Troy. Here is a digital, representation of this famous icon. Okay, so nicely done from Michael Micasso. Very nicely done. What will that sell for? How many, like, I would put that one on ETH or maybe it's a low file. That's another thing of it. Like, maybe, imagine you put that on Bitcoin. Like, I mean, It'd probably cost a fortune to mint. But imagine you put something like, because again, the two colors and then just pixelated, maybe doesn't need to be too large, 400 by 400, even less. Maybe it's 200, but 200 by 200 pixels. All of a sudden, it's like, what could you sell that for on ordinals? Interesting question. Gogolitis, a close-up of a much larger piece. So again, Gogolitis with a teaser here of some more interesting, beautiful work. And look who it is. It is Hasdrubal Waffle, back, armchair podiatrist. Yes, it's bunions, so just more super duper cool work. The Kleenex drip, and just cool. A guy in an armchair and just playing again with these N64. It looks like paint programs. Here's another one, Odyssey of Rancor. Hasdrubal Waffle, edition of 6, and this one is going for 500 Tezos on secondary. Kind of a more looser work, shall we say. And there's TM, there's like a yen sign here, dollar sign, making it look so darn easy. A brief history of decay at the bottom. That's kind of what it looks like. It kind of looks like decayed faces. So interesting, great title. Neat 130, so there's a few neats that have been added as well, and these are N64. So I think Hasdrubal put a comment on last episode. Sometimes he puts the comments like a day or two after the episode. So these pictures here are actually, in fact, in the program. Remember I was saying, I was wondering, maybe this is stock imagery. Hasdrubal was saying they're from the program here. So good to know. And it was super interesting. So using the program just internally, rather than stock images, just interesting. Neat 129. Cool selections here and everything. Almost looks like a screenshot of a tool here, and just different textures and everything. That looks like Easter Island in the background. Neat 129, and we should speed up a bit here. How are we doing? Neat 128. I think this one went to Little Cakes. Kind of reminds me of Little Cakes a little bit for some reason. And another cool work here, and here's another one. Neat 127, Flock of Fish. I think this went to Salawaki. It did. Who, of course, uses fish. So Hasdrubal Waffle just sending out, transferring them out, generous as ever. And here's another one, Neat 126, and let's see what happened to this. Going to Islay. So just very cool here. And cool portraits. Of course, this is Gozo, and this is put on Foundation. With Ethereum being up so much, you can see why people want to mint on Ethereum right now. Look at how well Ed did. And let's see, this one was minted 0.15 ETH reserve, Gozo. And again, using collage AI, beautiful textures here. I think a little bit of stable diffusion. So just really great work here, as we see in the border here, kind of semi-abstract, semi-representational, totally Gozo. Yuri J with another interesting transition. This is number 26. So pretty interesting abstract, if you ask me. Interesting digital art. 1 of 100 Tezos. Yuri J. Nice piece. Continuing on, some more Yuri J. Some flowers. Check this out. And this is put on Foundation, I believe. Flowers routine. And again, flowers watching a TV. So just really nice, cool work here. And so this is the TV, I guess, and these are the flowers. And again, just trademark Yuri J, know immediately. There's 4 of them. We're going to cycle through them fast. Flowers at rest after a hard day. So here is another one. You just see the range of Yuri J's experimentation here. Flowers meeting the sunset. And again, these are put on Foundation. And no reserve on that one. And here's one more, Flowers Touching the Moon. So I think a 4-part series here. And there's the clock that Yuri J likes to use. Maybe a scale here or a different kind of watch. And some pictures in the background, just cool. So cool flower series from Yuri J. This was kind of being retweeted out, pretty interesting. Zizis Bliatcast, Gardner's Encrypted Solutions. And let's just, right. So this uses stock photography, as you can see here. See, it's kind of like maybe Shutterstock or something. So using stock photography in the background and then in the foreground, just putting some cool kind of what I'd say surrealistic shapes and maybe a tree and, kind of a surrealistic composition at the top. And at the bottom, kind of a weird sort of just landscape here with some birds on it. So isn't that interesting conceptually? These clouds that have been dragged out. I mean, I'm a big fan. I actually did that in my Related Images series where I'd play with different representations of art on the internet, take a piece, say persistence of memory, and then you find all these different representations. And of course, you get the Shutterstock or the whatever they're called now. There's another one. Different variations on the painting and then playing with that. It's a cool theme conceptually. Kind of points to commercialization to a certain degree of these images. And who owns these images? Like when they're doing it of paintings, for example. Like all of a sudden, So I guess if you take a picture of the persistence of memory, you own the copyright to that. So I guess then you could sell that to Shutterstock or Adobe or whatever the case may be. Of 1914, Labyrinto. So I guess that's Spanish for labyrinth. Nice composition here. One of one. Sold for 10 Tezos. Would have loved to have picked that up. Sabato on the scene here. And I think, Sabato got a couple of these. This was another one. Some really nice pieces minted by Of 1914 yesterday. One of ones for a steal here from the super interesting artist. More super interesting work. Here's another one, Sabato on the scene collecting, like nice collecting from Sabato. Sosteniendo, not sure what that means, but cool, kind of familiar, instantly recognizable Of 1914 work. Another one of one. And this was interesting. Andrea Adzizinin. I was like, is this, it almost looks like a cross between Of 1914 and like Swoxo and like some of these, it's just interesting. It's almost like a trend. Like you see the teddy bears, you see the gradients, just kind of interesting. I think this is a whole other artist though, and you get like interesting works like this. So a lot going on out there. Like I didn't even have time to like, there's so much work out there. Seba Sestaro with another one, Someone 01 digital art by Seba Sestaro. So just another interesting illustration here. I'd call it a digital illustration by Seba Sestaro. It basically looks like a person's head. Someone 01. Some interesting shapes there. Here is Gora. Minesweeper's live now on our Zora. So Zora continues to attract the artists here, which is totally awesome. And so Zora, here it is. Minesweeper, only 3 minted. So, where things are getting expensive, Zora, again, these free mints are looking pretty attractive. So really cool piece here. Minesweeper, I like the title too, and kind of has a game feeling to it. A nice kind of dynamic composition here, kind of divided, kind of structured composition, a little bit of a comic book. It's kind of structure a little bit. Interesting. RJ with some interesting works here. Here's a one of one, and it was put at auction and went for 30 Tezos here. So, I like how RJ is just putting out a ton of work, making nice money in the process here. Here's a, selling, if people want your work, and I say that to me as much as anybody else, if people want your work, put your work out, and here is another cool still life. Hey, the laptop. I mean, it's great. And this is so RJ, right? And very minimal colors. So cool experimentation from RJ here. We're seeing other experimentation with the PNG stuff. And here's an earlier version of that. Saturday sketching. So just playing with the sketching here. And it looks like actually RJ got rid of some of those background elements, doesn't it? Let's just quickly see here. Got rid of the background elements and just left that. Interesting, right? So this is Daniel W. Forgotten Under a Pale Moon. This sold. Very cool work here. We'll see if there's any. Oh, there's volume. How are we doing for time? We're actually doing fairly well here. So cool haunted work from Daniel W. Love the beginning here. Nice piece. And I believe that's sold for 0.1 ETH. Here's Graphica.png. So look at this. What's behind the transparencies? So this PNG business And there's almost Graphica like a Google logo or something, and just cool, interesting work here by Graphica. You gotta love this stretched out stuff, and I think Graphica again uses like AI, collage, digital painting. Just a really interesting artist. I think we have another one here. Again, so this white area is probably transparent. Broken but still here. Almost looks like a generative kind of art piece. I'm not sure if these are made manually each one or if there's kind of a programming like M-props at work. I'm not exactly sure. This is a newer artist that I hadn't seen, Ox Abigail. Ox Abigail, Minimal Minds Gallery. And here is maybe OX Abigail, and there we see a Banksy and some interesting chairs and interesting treatment here. Just kind of almost an airbrush feeling, almost a pixel art kind of feeling, just interesting style here. 3 Tezos, edition of 10. There are 10 left, so go support Ox Abigail. I think new on the scene here. Axstone, 2 ETH is the reserve, listed reserve of 2 ETH, so new work by Axstone, who of course has work on Super Rare as well. And here is the piece. I wonder if these are minted on Super Rare and they show up on, or if people are just minting on Foundation. Isn't that interesting? Because we saw that with a few artists. So anyway, cool work here. Nice sky. Interesting sky. Classic Axstone work here. And we see the car, the people, the mouse head, the characters here, and just a ton going on. Interesting colors. Nice illustration. And after eating pizza, we can hit the road. 6,000 by 7,000, big piece. Here's Wasteman Goldminovich, the failed artist, number 46. Self-portrait, everyday reality for a Tezos grinder. And so some tough commentary here. And everything. There's Wasteman the genius here. Well, I love this series here, Wasteman Goldminovich, as you well know. So this is an open edition of 10 for 0.67 Tezos cents. And here, I mean, doesn't this just remind you of the Rider Tarot deck here? Let's see if we can get a closer view here in our final like 15 minutes, and we're gonna have to go pretty quickly here. And here, yeah, just a cool, interesting illustration here by OMG Drawed It, Outliving the Hype. About 3,000 by 4,000 here, and a few have been minted at 0.025 ETH. Again, all these prices are getting higher now, so people are taking in a little more. The Vanguard and Jake Studios, interesting collaboration, V Never Dies. So Jake Studios, of course, we saw the Simpson work the other day and several other works, so interesting illustration. I have a couple more. This is a collaboration with Jake Studios, between Jake Studios and J-Burn. So I think J-Burn did the music, because there's a whole album. So you see that, Vengeance is the title, and those are the lyrics, and you see it looks like J-Burn is collaborating with different artists on this never-ending album, the never-ending final saga of music by J-Burn. So that sounds like it's by J-Burn. So pretty talented here. So Mo SHIT, Temple Miz, Old Boys. Interesting composition, hey? 1 of 1. I think this is still available. 20 Tezos. Interesting piece. Here are other 1 of 1s available by Tebble Miz, and here I brought this one up as well. A 1 of 1 Mamek. Interesting experimentation. So isn't that cool? Rmilk 88 back on the scene. Tired Pixels number 63. And here, again, looking like using some ASCII text as another layer here. And just interesting combination here. GMGM, Tired Pixels number 63. Interesting piece. Edition of 12, now 9 Tezos on secondary, selling out on primary at 666. Nice work. And this was pretty cool. Who is this? Glyph Art. So I think that's Glyph Punk on Twitter. Look at that. Cool work. And I thought the title was interesting too. You see almost a little bit of ASCII text up there too. And Nostalgia. I thought that was a cool title. Reserve of 0.07 on ETH. Pretty cool. Kareem Safa, dumping unused boxes from old boxes into a larger box. Let me just do this. And so, interesting piece here by Kareem Safa. And Silva Santus. So we zoom through the rest of this show here. Dolphin Leap. And here, just another Nintendo glitch ROM. Interesting piece. Echo the Dolphin. And we know Sabato loves that game too. Check this out. This artist I've been looking at, Blotter, and I've been looking at a few of their works. Just kind of cool pixel art mixed with glitch. Interesting kind of as just a composition here, kind of a bride or a Virgin Mary type figure with, you know, what kind of gun is that? AK-47? I don't know. And so, interesting piece. Beyond Uncertainty. Buy now for 0.169 ETH. Plus was Gamma. I thought this was particularly interesting because it looks like maybe it's using some glitch ROM with this turning face here, which I thought was kind of interesting. Very subtle use of that. If that's what's going on. 3 Tezos, edition of 16. Mayu was an interesting video game series. Here's one, Blazing Thunder. And so, again, this idea of, you know, video games as art and using kind of like the tropes, the narrative, the visual narrative of video games as subject matter for art. I mean, interesting idea, right? Also, it's like an avenue for commentary. Zones, 006, Lives, 3, just all of a sudden everything takes on a second meaning. And you see here, it's part of a larger series. So this is the 6th, I think, in this series. So collect them all. And Dave, already 48,000 views here. I thought just some nice, what looks like generative art here. Just a nice animated abstract. Nicely done from Dave's, whose work we've seen before, Pamela Cerrone. Some interesting experimentation going on Pamela Cerrone's account. This is probably what happens when you make as much work as Pamela Cerrone does, that you start to just like push things and try out new things. So just very cool. Unknown. And this is a collaboration, 2D animation with my friend Andy Noplex, while enjoy Unknown Mortal Orchestra in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Edition of 25 for 1 Tezos. And here's a cool work by Saiko. Music by Shuda Yasukochi, and the music's great. Oops. Let me do this, and here we go. Isn't it beautiful? It's so beautiful. Yeah, so really fun, cool work from Saiko. And I think we have another one here. This is Score, also Saiko, Liquid Pink Roses. And let's see if it plays here. And it is. So this is just no audio here. Just a cool kind of abstract, more roses, interestingly. So cool work from Saiko, edition of 8. And let's just see the market here. Offers are coming in, and so let's see what happens. So none have been sold yet. Just holding on to it for now. I think minted this morning. Retro Manny, C says GM with love, Faltech Labs, one of one owner, the mother of Tez, also known as Lily White. And I don't think there's any volume here, but it was cool work here. Cbot, Faltech Labs. So I think this was already minted on the account. I just brought up the Twitter. So just cool work by Retro Manny here. And continuing on, Kurt Hustle Collective, Junk and Terry Visual present Media Mutant. And so it looks like they have combined forces here into one person with one of my favorite NFTs of all time in the TV here. If you don't know that one, go check out KHC's collection here. So anyways, cool work. Sending out the vibes here. Firing Mutant, a Media Firing Mutant, exactly. Edition of 5 for 50 Tezos each. And here, Kurt Hustle Collective is on Zora as well. So another kind of Japanese style commercial here. And unfortunately, we don't have too much time to go through it, but go check them out on Zora. As you can see, 13-minute video. Very cool and free mint, by the way. And here's another work. This was at the top of Zora the other day. Sabato with Gabriel Coy. So let me just... And Sky Goodman on
I have had to accept
as narrator.
As reality. Otherwise, my body would have been dissolved, abolished. In the artificial, my action is natural.
So, pretty cool.
As myself.
So this is on Zora. This is on Zora. So it's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, almost 3 minutes there. That's the cool thing about Zora. You can, I mint this show on Zora, so it's like, you can mint like up to 2 gigabytes. So that gives you a few more options. This series by Walk, I think, is of 9/11. I actually think it's a super interesting series. These are one of ones going for 7 Tezos by Walk. Really interesting artist, not a bad deal at all. 904, doesn't that seem like a September 11th type subject matter? Ex Mortal, how are we doing here? We got about 5 minutes. Ex Mortal with another work here. This is on with Super Chief Gallery on Foundation, edition of 20 for 0.05 ETH. Interesting piece. Is there a title? Image. Cool title. Isolationist, unminted undead. So Isolationist looking like playing with more digital aspects, I think. So just kind of a cool digital work here. Unminted Undead from Isolationist. And Aitzo with a preview here. Phosphor Operator, just another gorgeous physical of, I think, just a really smart solution. How would you make the analog video glitch physical? I think this is a beautiful solution. Of course, this is the Instamax, I think is what it's called, Polaroid paper. Writing on top, which I think is actually the part of this that makes this whole work, is Phosphor Operator written in marker. Sometimes it's that stuff that makes a work, which I think is super interesting. Mo Wellington, let's see if I have time to read this. I had the idea of using long-form generative AI to create an archive of amongst lost letters. Instead of explicit visual descriptions, I used variables to create dozens of small daily anecdotes that had their own emotions and feelings. So just kind of a different way of working. Rather than explicit visual descriptions, I used variables, which I think is kind of interesting. So interesting from Mo P. Wellington, and good-looking works there. Here's interesting kind of development on AI here too. Let me just show a fragment here. Of course, this is a popular AI account. And I'm going to make it a little small just for copyright. You see, you just put the brush on and then it creates motion. You put the brush on the boat and it starts moving. So motion brush, pretty amazing stuff there as we go into the brilliant strange thing here. Look at this work of brilliance. This work of brilliance. This could have started the show. I started last show with Strange Thing, reading Financial Times, beautifully, carefully. This is a masterful work here by Strange Thing. Even the painting in the background, the color. This is a brilliant, I can't say enough about this. It's tempting to say another masterpiece here. And look at this, another great work here. And I'm trying to think of the painting that I feel like I know the source of this painting vaguely. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you do too. Doesn't it seem familiar? If anybody knows the painting I'm thinking of, please leave it. So just more brilliant work. The color. Not sure if the palette is being sampled from some of the great colorists in history. Obviously, Strange Thing recognizes the color. Very interesting. Ocote with another kind of interesting work here. And we cover our faces. In the global south, powerful corporations unjustly appropriate our lands. So interesting AI work, edition of 13, now on secondary. So making bank here, which is great. GM from the global south, and here it is on the side of a house. So not exactly sure if this is a AI. I don't know if this is AI or photography or both. Isn't that interesting? It looks like the same work. And here I Speak the Language of Flowers by Tukes. We are doing well. We're going to finish here. So more cool experimentation, of course, AI by Tukes. And I think we have another brilliant one. Look at this. Kind of weathered maybe, or just kind of like lighter palette. It's like a new Matisse with a slightly different palette. It's beautiful. And here Zoom has released a series. I'm not sure if this is I'm not sure if this is M-Props or not, but putting out a new series here. And it's starting to show up in my object feed as Stars Twinkle Checkmate. Here's just a couple of them, oscillating in cosmic sprinkles. So interesting work from Zoom. Look at Skomra. I love this piece. I love the blurred out face. This one was particularly poetic, simple. And again, the more work you make, the more winners you're going to have. And it seems like Skomra's making a lot of work, and this is just another winner. You know, it's a lesson for us all. Just make a lot of work. Cider. This is the thing, Cider. If you like what you're doing, make a ton of it, because you might come up with some masterpieces that you didn't even think, like, just don't worry about making too much art. Just make it. You don't have to release it all, and you can always release it later when you're not making as much. Okay? That's my take anyway. Scamra, look at this. Kind of has a Leonardo da Vinci notebook kind of feel in the color, right? And almost this kind of interesting, kind of charcoaly brown. Interesting. Kind of has, even in the hair and the look, kind of has a Leonardo feel. And this is a friend was posting this Keith Haring in Toronto. So I'm actually going to Toronto in about a month. And so I'll definitely be checking out this Keith Haring show. It looks like an epic show. Artists for everybody. So art hero Keith Haring. And so that is happening in Toronto. Cool pictures. And more from Bobby Matija. And as we zoom in here, Eagle Mouse, another interesting painting, physical artwork. This was an interesting, I thought this was edgy. Michael Pybus, we've been looking at his work, commenting on the whole issue there. It's called Free the Nipple. So kind of a biting commentary, wherever you fall on the issue, a biting commentary from Michael Pybus. And look at this brilliance from Wooden Cyclops. Just brilliant artwork is coming out from all sides here. Again, this is like since Friday. This is what I'm finding since Friday without even really trying. This is what's coming across my feed. Okay? Look at this. I mean, it's quite astonishing. Becky Ayumi, artist I don't think we've looked at here before. I don't think. This is colored pencils. And finally, Walk. Welcome to Acid House. Another work by Walk. It looks like a rug, spray painted on a rug. Just brilliant. I mean, who doesn't want that in your entrance? Super cool. And that is your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the patience. We survived an attack there. And until next time, take care. Whew.